Quiches are great because they're a nice, light, healthy breakfast. Easy to make and pretty cheap too. I got the spinach and feta quiche recipe from a French cookbook, and today we're gonna make it together. We're gonna start with 200 grams of flour and 1 stick of cold cubed unsalted butter. And about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Combine this in a food processor or by hand until these are about pea-sized chunks. You'll want to keep going until your pieces are about this size and still very crumbly. Now we're going to add a couple tablespoons of ice cold water. And we're going to start to bring this together. It looks like I'm going to need a couple more. And all we're trying to do is get this dough just wet enough to come together as one mass, and it's still pretty dry. You can always push on your dough a little bit. If it holds together pretty well, you're probably ready. Mine's actually still pretty crumbly. So I'm going to add another tablespoon of water. Beautiful. You can see my dough pretty much come together, but that should be pretty darn good. Let's get our dough onto some saran wrap. Form it into a disc. Again, be careful not to overwork it. When you're done, you should have yourself a nice disc of dough. Put this in the fridge for at least 30 minutes, but preferably a full hour. Now that our dough is chilled, we can go ahead and grease a 9-inch pie pan. We'll set this aside. We'll sprinkle a little bit of flour on our workspace here. We're gonna roll this out until it's about a 1/4 inch thick or until it covers our entire pie pan. Now we're just gonna carefully lay our pie crust over our pan, and we're gonna press it in gently. And now you should have a beautifully lined pie dish with your delicious dough. Let's get some parchment paper over this. And into that, we're gonna add some pie weights, or I just use a bunch of rice. We're gonna throw this into a preheated 350-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Your crust should look light and fluffy around the edges, like mine does. We can set this aside to cool while we work on the filling. Go ahead and slice yourself a couple cloves of garlic. Now we're gonna get a saute pan on medium heat. To that, we're gonna add just about a teaspoon of olive oil. Then goes in our garlic. Spread these around a bit, get them coated, and toast them for about a minute. At this point, we can start to put our spinach in. I'm gonna put about half in to start, and I'll add the rest once I start to see this is wilted down a bit. After just a minute, it's already started to wilt enough for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in the rest of my spinach. Get something prepared so that you can drain this after we're done cooking it. Our goal is to get as much moisture out of the spinach as possible. As you can see here, I'm just about there. At this point, I might as well kill the heat because you can see my spinach is mostly very green and very wilted. I'm gonna go ahead and get this transferred over. I'm gonna let this cool for just a couple minutes and then drain it over my sink. Meanwhile, we're gonna go ahead and crack 5 eggs into this bowl. Go ahead and whisk these until combined. Now we're gonna go ahead and add in a cup of heavy whipping cream and half a cup of whole milk. About 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, some freshly ground pepper, and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Whisk this together. Once you've wrung out your spinach and it's fairly dry, we can go ahead and chop it up. I like to go both ways to give kind of a fine chop. We can go ahead and get this in our mixture. We'll add about 4 to 5 ounces of feta. Then we'll just gently fold this together. Now we can pour all of this back into our pie pan. And then we can top this with just a little bit more feta. And we'll bake this at 350 for about 40 to 45 minutes or until the center is just about set, but still a little loose. It'll finish cooking once we take it out of the oven. When it's done, it should look golden brown around the edges and set firmly in the center with a little bit of jiggle to it. We're gonna go ahead and let this sit for about 20 minutes before we cut into it. My hungry ass can't actually stop eating it. Holy shit. Perfect.